no friends, so I throw down, hit the town, find a dumb club that plays EDM. And small world, it's my cinnamon girl. She's handing out the best damn powder in the city. I took a hit, turn around, she said, baby, just come back for more when you feel real pretty. I got low and I knew where to go. Hands in her pocket, I said please don't pity. You don't have to ask, just take it down fast and come back for more when you feel real pretty. Feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Feel real pretty. You'll never be lonely. You know I'm the only thing that you need. Breathe in, just hold me, then let it out slowly. What do you see? Whatever you do, make sure that you come back for more when you feel real pretty. Baby, just come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more, come back for more, come back for more, come back for more, come back. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty.
Hey, how's it going? This is an actual Canna-Talk. I have a plate of food that was eaten in right there. Much better. Cannaheads ND. No? Cannaheads. It's just Cannaheads. Yes, I'm very professional today. Yeah, so there was a day of cannabis in the House, or in the Senate today, in Human Services Committee. So there was 3 bills. There's going to be a 4th bill tomorrow. We'll probably cover that. Well, we'll probably cover that throughout the week, just depending on what happens. Like, I'm going to watch it. But there's 3 bills. The major portion of it was 1420, and it actually came out about an hour ago that the GOP leader has a gut feeling about marijuana legalization passing in North Dakota Senate. So he's talking about 1420. It'll end up on Burgum's desk. I'm not 100% sure if he would veto. I don't think he would, to be quite honest, if, you know, both House and Senate, and it passes on a pretty... Like, the House pass was actually a lot more votes than I had even expected. So that's a pretty nice one. So he counts himself as a supporter of House Bill 1420, which would legalize recreational marijuana use for adults 21 or over. There's going to be tight restrictions. But yeah, he told Forum News Service that he has a gut feeling the bill has enough support to pass the upper chamber, and he hasn't formally pulled other senators, but I mean, if he's got that gut feeling, that's a really good sign. So we're hoping that this passes. And I guess we should preface this. I've said this before in other videos, but some people just don't seem to understand things. This is a start. One of the things that were in this hearing was, hey, we're trying to get ahead of this constitutional amendment type of a situation. and we're trying to get ahead of this. Well, I guess what measure 3 legalize ND, that would be the word. What those people are doing, we want to like have more control, which makes sense. It would allow anyone possess up to 1 ounce, which in the wording of the bill is not 28 grams. I think it was 21, which is weird. So 3/4 of an ounce. But you can possess up to 1 ounce, but you can only purchase 3/4 of an ounce. Odd, but okay. Whatever, I guess that's what they felt like was gonna work.
I don't think most of them understand like the actual real world.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how you're gonna. Well, I guess you're gonna get the prepackaged. You know, you can buy like a quarter at a time type of a deal. But yeah, it's gonna be a little interesting with packaging and everything like that. But if you guys listened to Canna-Talk ND last week, so the last episode, the newest episode, we had Jason Doctor on. He kind of explained a little bit more, like what ends up happening if it overwhelms the entire system. So he's got that figured out. It allows for more measures or more manufacturing facilities to be opened up. It kind of sets up that the Medical Marijuana Commission Board, whatever thing, is the one that basically kind of controls all of that, and so it kind of just pushes it onto them, which, I mean, might not be the greatest thing saying that out loud, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But it could register up to 7 facilities and 18 dispensaries, and would start up on July 1st, 2022. So there's still a ways away, but yeah, the fact that this is coming out, it's a good news. It does have a 15% tax rate, which is on one of the bills, actually. It's not on this one, I believe. Yeah, companion bill, which was, what was that number? I have all of them. 1501, that's the one. So 1501 would make it so that there's a 15% tax, which is pretty steep, and a 10% levy on retailers selling. But I think what we're going to see is this is going to go into effect, really tight restriction type of a situation. And over time, they'll be like, okay, well, you know, the cost, you know, there's people talking about homegrown stuff like that. But what we're going to be seeing here probably is this passing, this going into effect. Yeah, from the way that one of the people in that hearing said, they're kind of like, hey, if this passes, we're gonna like not be assholes about it, and hopefully the other side, the other group, decides to not be an asshole about it. If they do, good luck. I don't think there's going to be much support for that, to be honest, but yeah. So let's go jump into the hearing. So this is, I downloaded them and re-uploaded them. So yeah. Yeah, strike me, okay, but this is a government thing that happened in government, which is not capable for copyright. I did check. That's how C-SPAN works. So yeah. So let's start off with this is House Bill 1359, which is going to be this one. This one is medical marijuana designated caregivers and the Medical Marijuana Advisory Board. I believe this is the one that would allow for edibles. It would allow for better caregiver applications. It would set up caregiver setup system. So multiple people can or people can help multiple patients. This would be kind of for the people who, you know, like cancer treatments and stuff like that. Gail had a couple heartwarming stories about it. It was really emotional, to be honest, but yeah, so let's jump into that one.
Next.
And go.
Any further testimony in favor?
Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm going 1.5 times speed because, as you can see, this is 3 hours and 47 minutes. And then there's also a second cut, which is about an hour. So we're going to go quick. But if there's any like bigger ones, I'll jump back and we'll re-listen to it at normal speed. So here we go. Okay.
Hi
There we go.
everybody. I'm Gail Peterson. I am a certified holistic nurse, special practice registered nurse in North Dakota, and a trained cannabis nurse. My scope of practice includes cannabis education and consultation. Since the true implementation of our program, there have come about some problems that Senator Ruby introduced, and I thank him for presenting this legislation today. The caregiver aspect certainly needs some changes. I am associated with the American Cannabis Nurses Association and am on a long-term care working group, national working group here, and caregiving has been recognized as a problem. In particular, this is for a long-term care working group, but we are looking at other aspects of caregiving, which includes parental care. And for myself, I have a 30-year-old disabled son who's in his own home, but I'm on the board of directors for an organization that in a group home setting, cannabis cannot be given because of federal regulation right now. So we're trying to do some workarounds here. There are some situations where the primary caregiver, just the one, has really become evident. And I want to tell you about these because essentially they are personal stories. This is my sister-in-law, Sam. Sam had a closed-headed injury after she was hit by a car when she was 11 years old. Sam was in a group home in our community. She was one of the reasons I started looking at cannabis for her constant seizures. She's been on every seizure medication as she has progressed and as she has aged. Talking to her neurologist, yes, she was looking at this. Sam died last year without being able to have cannabis. Matt is a 35-year-old cerebral palsy patient. Matt lives in his own apartment and has caregivers through an organization. His organization cannot give him cannabis. Matt suffers from anxiety, nausea, and spasms of his cerebral palsy. He essentially cannot feed himself. He got his license, one of the first people that got his license in the state. The one caregiver issue is not doable for anybody.
And I also want to preface this. Other states do have a caregiver situation. California, when it first actually was medicinal, that was their main thing. And it kind of turned into like a loophole type of a scenario where people like were trying to take advantage of it, but it helped the majority of people who are not incapacitated, but who are less able to acquire and to dose and everything like that, to be under the care of a nurse or of somebody who, I guess they had a training type of a thing. So you could have multiple patients under your caregiving wing. It turned into a situation where people were like, okay, I'm going to be a caregiver for 5 people so that those 5 people can have a card. But it had legitimate uses, and that's kind of what it comes out to here. It's one caregiver to one patient, which isn't a great system by any means, because that just basically means, like, in this situation, like, it would be for parents type of a thing. Like, if you have a child under age, you would be able to do that. But it's, yeah, if you could have multiple patients, I guess, or people that you would care for, it would make it a lot easier for them. So, yeah, that's kind of what this measure is about, or this bill is about. And so, yeah, some pretty heartwarming. Not heartwarming. I don't even know. Pull on the heartstring stories that are based in, actual truth, and what I think a lot of the people who are senators, House, all of that stuff, they will kind of dehumanize people in such a way that, like, their decisions they don't realize has like a human element to it. That I think that's really important to be able to put that into perspective. So, yeah.
Now, just realizing
Hmm.
I had my microphone muted, and I was trying to tell you, I think it's going so fast that you can't. Like, it just went silent. So I'm glad that you just explained what it was, because it just goes dead.
Oh, did I go too fast? Okay. It's better. We're trying
Let's
to
try it out.
I've been a nursing supervisor for most of my 40 years. Working out.
There you go through. Can you hear
It's
it?
still really choppy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be jumping around anyway, so go normal speed.
On schedules, anybody knows if you're trying to schedule 2 or 3 times a day, 365
I
days
wonder
a
if it's
year,
just
you
too
need
loud.
a certain amount of staff. And actually, I question if we're looking at a parent cooperative in our
It's
our
still
town.
chopping.
Ah, shoot.
Can you increase the output of that?
Yeah, this is its max. I'm wondering if I'm just because like my audio goes with it,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering if it's. I think it's Skype's thing. Jump to Discord. I have to do it
Yeah.
live, but jump to Discord super quick.
Yeah.
All right, give me like a quarter of a second to change. Oh, I can just do that while we're on. Sorry, this is a new system. I promise that it's gonna get better. Output. Yes. Shoot him this way. We'll just run it through that. Hopefully we can get that to work. Okay. I'm gonna call you here in a minute.
Okay.
There we go. One minute. Okay. And now we're doing it live, guys. We're doing it live. Because of the way
I got nothing on sound-wise, if you can hear me.
You can't hear me? Oh, am I... Oh, shoot. Can you hear me now? No? Okay, well, we're doing the watch together thing. I should probably... I try to type that. This was supposed to work. Side rant. The most annoying program in the history of the world is a program called Voicemeeter. It is extremely annoying, and I'm not sure what's going on right now. Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, I got.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I like super loud?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. Your camera's not on, but
Oh shit! One sec.
watch together.
Oh, now it's on.
Sync to.
Oh, never mind. There it is. Yay. Welcome to Technical Hour with Phil and Tony.
Right. That's quick enough. Oh. All right, so I'm gonna drop it in Skype chat because it's much easier that way. I had this set up. Like I even tested this and everything.
Yeah, it's like she starts talking and it's like only like anything that she's emphasizing audibly will get through.
I think it's because Skype does compression. That is probably the reason why.
Room not found.
Room not found. The room. What? Maybe it's the. Please work. Canna-Talk. Cannaheads. Try that link again. Did I add something to it to the end by accident?
I don't know.
No.
Nope.
No?
No, sir.
No, it loaded for me. Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, try another room. Oh boy. We're trying. Everybody gets whatever I and it's not a room. Okay, a new link without a weird dash to it. It's the one in Skype.
See, that one, the preview popped up with something different. There it is.
Oh, hey, there we go. All right. Well, there's the first one. All right. Stop playing now. It is. Okay. Now I have also capture the output. Oh, well, yeah, that'll work. Whatever. All right. I should still check that my audio works. Okay. Now I have to jump to time. 1848. Oh, we were at 22:29. And we can still do the playback speed trick here.
Buddy.
No, what? What did you do? 22. Oh boy.
Nausea and spasms of his cerebral palsy. He essentially cannot feed himself. He got his license. One of the first people that got his license.
That's so much better.
The one caregiver issue is not
Why
doable
is it
for anybody.
doubling up? This is the best time to have technical difficulties.
I've been a nursing supervisor.
What is it doing?
It sounds fine to me.
It's like jumping, skipping back and forth.
For most of my 40 years, working on schedules. Anybody knows if you're.
It skipped. Okay, normal speed. Wondering if
Trying to schedule 2 or 3 times a day, 365 days a year. You need a certain amount of staff, and actually, I question if we're looking at a parent cooperative in our town. I wonder if that's even enough people. I originally was thinking of 7, but what I've got is fine here. This is Craig. Craig's mom, Ardell, testified last session. Craig is autistic and a headbanger, a closed head injury for many, many years. Craig died last year without the ability to use cannabis. There's also quite a few testimonies that are coming online. I'll tell you about Ronnie and Alexa. You met Alexa when we were here for the bill that was defeated for pediatrics. Alexa nominated me for the Legendary Nurse Award for advocacy for this and all of the nursing support I have done. She had to stay late at home in Fargo to give Ronnie a dose when he got off the bus. She missed giving me my award by 10 minutes. That really brought it to the forefront. I do also want to tell you the pediatric solution that was brought about with our bills did not work for Ronnie. They increased it as they're supposed to, going slow and low, and with the increase, his behaviors have gone through the roof. So they are no longer using cannabis.
That's another thing that I think was really important that she mentioned was, you know, that cannabis isn't for everyone and that people are capable of deciding if it is for them or not. That, like, it's a good attempt and it's a thing that should be able to be tried. Not that, like, it'll work all the time, but it's an attempt, and that's another option for a parent or a caregiver to have an avenue like that. Because I know plenty of people, especially with seizures, where, yeah, this medicine might work, but it's either difficult for them to keep on hand, where, like, it's expensive as hell, and insurance will only cover like a certain portion, or it's a lot more difficult for them. And also where, they feel loopy, it doesn't give them the type of quality of life improvement that the medicine should be doing. And that having this as an option would be at least another option. And that, it might not be for everybody, but at least it was an attempt and another option for that person. So, yeah.
The background check, and I don't know if that has gone out. That seems like something that is not needed. That is still criminalizing this plant. I believe primary caregivers, the guardians of that person, should be able to designate other caregivers. Just like I believe it's Bill 1213 that I.
Oh, did you pause it?
Believe
I
you're
probably
hearing
clicked it.
tomorrow. That's not just to expand that a little bit to include maybe some. You could classify them as secondary caregivers, not the guardians of the person who is filling out the registration.
I think that's a little bit of a tall ask, but in this scenario, we at least have moved somewhere with medicinal that this type of a comment would actually make sense. And I think this is what we might see when it comes to recreational. And one of the things that was really, really stressed in House Bill 1420 is the fact of citizen-led initiatives kind of undoing the work here. And that's kind of where they're coming from. And the fact that Gail here went to legislators and with this bill and put in her input on it, and that there's not like a citizen-led initiative type of a situation for it, they're a lot more willing to hear that. And again, I will probably be the last person who ever wants to say we should ask for approval from people who won an election, and that's who won the popularity contest are in the room. But unfortunately, that is life. Unfortunately, that is the way that it works. If there was a different way of doing it, with the success rate being a lot higher, I'm sure I would be more than happy to take that. But last year, this wasn't on the table. This year, it is. So we should at least take that avenue, is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, I don't like asking people permission to do whatever I want with my body. Or, I guess in this one, you'd have to ask the patient if they want to, smoke. But, like, it shouldn't have to be like that, but it is. And that's just life. And you're not going to, like, Rome wasn't built in a day type of a situation. You weren't going to have one bill that just covers and fixes everything. If there was that, I am all for it. Let's start off with the justice system. Let's start off with parenting. Let's just make an entire bill that's like 3,000 pages long. I'm sure everybody will be on board. We'll call it the Magic Pill Bill. That'll be great. But unfortunately, that's not how that works. So, yeah.
I do agree with the formation of the advisory board. I think it needs to be expanded a little. I'm kind of in an area that doesn't fit either. I'm not a provider, and I am a patient. I don't want to take up the patient's another patient's ability to be on that advisory board, and I certainly don't fit the provider capacity. But I am, I think, one of the most knowledgeable people in the state. Thank you to the representatives that have presented the bill, the senators. It is time to take care of all of our citizens equally and remove the criminality of this plant. I leave you with the sixth and final basic principles from the National Council of State Boards of Nursing Guidelines. I have paraphrased it, adding legislator instead of nurse, constituent instead of patient. In addition to the ethical responsibilities under the legislator's jurisdictional law, The legislator shall approach the constituent without judgment regarding their choice of treatment or preferences in managing pain or other distressing symptoms. Awareness of one's own beliefs and attitudes about any therapeutic intervention is vital, as you are expected to provide care for your constituents without personal judgment. Thank you for...
In a perfect world, that would be true. Unfortunately, and it's not, I guess I should preface this. This isn't like me saying that there's like a conspiracy to, you know, screw people over, but I think the best example, recent example of how a person with a lot of money, let's say Apple, or let's say Fortnite, sorry, what's Epic Games, say they find a firm, a lobbyist firm, and is like, hey, we're getting creamed in this federal lawsuit, so let's just try to get around this judge and pass state laws to make it so that we can get what we want, and then we'll just say fuck it to the federal lawsuit and go on with our day. And that's what we saw last month, or maybe 2 months ago, where a bill in North Dakota, and I forgot who the sponsor was. He even told the entire story, where a lobbyist came up to him and said, hey, I think this is a great idea. Here is a bill. There's no talk about money changing hands or anything like that. It's just weird that a bill just got handed over, and he's like, this is a good idea. Let's do that. And it got killed in House. But what it would have done is it would have made companies over X amount of dollars, which just so happened to be how much Apple was making federally, or how much Google was making federally, which they already have that, would have the ability to do an alternative app platform and allow people to install different apps that are like marketplaces, which you can totally do on Android. You might be able to a little bit on iOS, called Alt Store, but it would make it a lot easier, because on iOS you have to kind of go a roundabout type of way to do it. But this would make it so that they have to allow that. And knowing Apple and how Apple acts, there was no way that that was going to happen. So the actual outcome of that bill would have basically been, you can't buy an iPhone in North Dakota. I don't know how many Apple stores are in North Dakota, but that would have been a problem, and a big one, and it got killed pretty fast. But Arizona, for instance, has that same thing. It passed House. It's on its way to Senate, I believe, last I checked. Might even have passed Senate. But yeah, there's states, this lobbyist group called the App Fairness Committee or something like that, is going state to state and passing laws through Senate or through House through legislation, and that's kind of how it works. And unfortunately, that's what she's saying, that hey, there should be like for the people, by the people. But again, if there is a bill of the magic pill bill, let's go for it, but there isn't, so yeah, that's kind of unfortunately reality.
For considering these changes.
And let's also mention the fact that North Dakota is pretty small on that scale. In California, for instance, this would happen on an absolute daily basis, because there's a lot more there. It on a federal level, it happens on a probably minute-by-minute basis, but lobbyists in North Dakota, there's not that many of them, and if they are, they're industry leaders and not just some random cooperation of people who would like to have an alt app store. But yeah, so like there's the insurance society, insurance association, there's the major industries in North Dakota, but I'm talking about like just anyone with money walking in. Yeah, there's not that much of it here, But if you were to apply it in California or in Florida or anything like that, there's a lot bigger of a problem. But it's good to understand that it's happening also in North Dakota.
And I will stand for questions.
Any questions? Senator Anderson.
Well, Madam Chair, you know, when you say that removing the background check removes the criminality, in most states now we do background checks for almost everything. You might have to have one to be a pharmacist or a nurse or a doctor or anything else. So just because we're doing background checks doesn't mean that we think you're a criminal. We're trying to find out for sure that you're not. But
I would
I
also,
don't think that background check in this time and age means that you might be a criminal. But you know, I don't have a problem with removing it either. We don't do background checks for pharmacists unless they appear to be ornery. Then we do. But
oh, that surprises me. Can you,
I'm pretty sure they do. Do you need? I'm pretty sure they should do a background check if you're a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Like 99.9% sure that should be a thing. You know, they're working with controlled substances, and technically also cannabis is technically a controlled substance, probably not much longer or a much lower controlled substance than compared to heroin. But yeah, I mean, like I would love a world where there is no background checks, but unfortunately, maybe adding carve-outs for background checks, like so-and-so ended up getting busted with cannabis beforehand, probably not that big of a deal, and probably actually more knowledgeable about it than somebody who doesn't have that or just got away with it. But it also would help kind of people who know both sides of the coin, like who have gone through court and all that bullshit that comes with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a background check for a pharmacist, like 99.9%. If not, they probably should start. And I'm pretty sure like CVS would probably do that, or like, you know, pharmacies would probably want to, considering the fact that it, like, for my call center job, I had to have a background check. Like, I'm calling people about oil changes, and I had to have a background check. That's bullshit, but like, that's what happens.
Pull the mic back towards
Excuse
you
me,
just
that-
so that the people online can hear you well.
excuse me, that surprises me that pharmacists don't. I know I did for just even getting my special practice license. So, and that's fine. It is an added expense that would probably be taken from that person who either the guardians or the person who is disabled. Who's going to pay that?
Just because it was going to bother me. North Dakota pharmacist intern, pharmacy technician, pharmacy and wholesaler search licensure and dispensary information. How much you want to bet you need a background check for that to get any of those licenses? Oh, you're muted.
Yep. Okay. I was just saying, I guarantee.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure of that. But I mean, like, also at the same hand, like, I don't think oh, there's a link here with talking. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably hasn't looked at pharmaceutical law in a while, so
This also opens up the aspect of possibly school nurse intervention. Right now, essentially that person, and even in our group home setting, that person who is in a group home should legally be walked across off of the property to be given that medication. That can change with policies of the organization. And they can designate who can give that product to. So long-term care is a whole other deal where you've got a rehab situation and the person that's very capable, and there's there's policies coming out across the country where it's a patient right to be able to have that medication. So
Senator Larson.
Yeah, Madam Chair, kind of like a little history lesson here, maybe. CNA, what kind of pharmaceuticals can they administer? LPN, an RN, you know, kind of up the thing. If you could give me an idea, what kind of pharmaceuticals and medicine can they give their patients?
Right now, no one can give cannabis without a set policy in any organization or any, and right, our Board of Nursing they have not come out.
This is just nitpicky, but I would have actually gone with, you know, like you know, an RN can administer, you know, so medicine and be like, it's no different. Like, they would have been a better angle to angle it towards applying cannabis to a group of drugs, because then it's like, well, okay, so if I'm for this nurse to be able to, you know, give me like a painkiller based on like the prescribed doctor's label and everything like that, then I should, you know, probably be for cannabis. I mean, I'm not sure like who can administer what, but like I know nurses can administer opioids, pretty sure, because like anytime I've been at the hospital, it was a nurse that was the one that brought it. The doctor would order it, and then the nurse would bring it. But like, yeah, pretty sure they're able to do all of them, but I don't know that. But I would have applied a medicine to cannabis. That way, mentally, you're applying cannabis to medicine in a medicinal law. That's what I would have done at least. But she's had a lot more experience
With the statement on that, but the National Council of State Boards of Nursing is doing a little bit more investigation. And again, like I said, with the policy, a nurse can give a medication. CNAs cannot, under, you know, medication rules, but even standard med aid rules, cannabis is not included.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I guess for some clarification, if I'm a CNA, can I give cancer medicine to my patient?
What is cancer medicine?
Yeah,
Are you saying like what's it called?
like chemotherapy.
Yeah, that word. Like, pretty sure that's a needle and a liquid bag, so could probably help. Like, more than likely, yeah, but it's not like you can be like, oh, you look like you have cancer, let me just hook you up. Like, I don't think that's how that works.
They're usually given under a controlled situation.
Okay, could I give them aspirin
Like, a group home is kind of controlled situation.
or codeine if I'm doing rounds
If you
in
are
the hospital?
licensed, yep.
And do I have to be licensed to?
Yes.
Senator Larson,
give-
as a CNA, you can take an extra class and
Class
become
for
a
it.
medication assistant.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's just
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
you got to take
It's
a
just
little
another
test. It's not
thing.
a full licensing. That's just a kind of
Okay.
a little extra certification, but it's not a difficult one.
Then, so if I could continue, Madam Chair, if we go to an RN or an LPN, do they need a certification to be able to allow to dispense meds to their patients as well?
No, you have that with your license,
Okay, so
I believe, Senator Royce.
I would say there are a few exceptions, certain classes of drugs. So chemo, you have to be certified to give
Yes.
chemo. And then like things that would sedate someone, you have to, it's not an additional license, it's just some additional education.
I guess, and Madam Chair, I don't want to really comment. It seems kind of trivial that I can give with a little test, or I can give with my license. I can give cancer drugs and narcotics and everything else, but with this, I can't. So,
And unfortunately, yeah.
observation.
Excuse me, Senator Senator Larson, it does come down to the federal laws. It is still a Schedule I, which there is hope of the MORE Act being reintroduced here. So until that changes, that limits pretty much anybody from legally, unless there's policies within your organization, to be able to give it.
So yeah, that was Gail's thing. I thought it was just really good. Jason Wall kind of went a little bit afterwards. There really wasn't too much. Since we're going at regular speed, but Gale was up again, so it's Gale hour. 5213. So this one was about House Bill 1391, which was not this one. It's 59. Okay. 1391. Edible marijuana products. So there was actually a really interesting back and forth in this one. Oh no, it wasn't in this one. Yeah, there was technically. It wasn't much of a back and forth. 1420 had a lot of back and forth, which was really interesting. But this would allow for edibles, essentially, and a caregiver to be able to purchase it in a 30-day period. It also will allow a patient, I think it expands how much they can purchase. On behalf of a registered qualified patient may not possess more than 500 milligrams of a edible product. And in this, they talked about capsules. They have THC capsules, isolated capsules, and they're 100 milligrams each. Only 5 of those you can buy, but I thought you said 10 in there.
Yeah, the capsules, like the RSO capsules, are usually 10 milligrams.
Oh, 10.
Yeah.
You can have 50 of them.
And Grandma, say happy birthday. Don't forget to get on your messages and message people back to us.
Yeah. Okay, so... Yeah, so I thought you said 100, but it might have been 10. But yeah, it's...
Yeah, those capsules are 10 milligram, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 10 milligram of the RSO.
You think if they have capsules that they would allow edibles, but...
Yeah, that doesn't make any damn sense. You can get capsules, but you can't buy gummy worm.
There was a back and forth with how do you know if somebody, there apparently there isn't an explicit law against it, against making edibles, but like, then apparently when you get caught, then how do you know that you used North Dakota stuff? And
Well, here's a good question. Are you wanting me to go to that room now?
Huh?
You just sent me a link.
It was the same link. I thought. What?
Yeah, it just popped up saying you sent me a link, and it's like, am I supposed to go to a different room?
No, it's the same one. I don't know what.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So,
Skype is
okay,
weird
so there's
today.
nothing that says explicitly that you can't have edibles. It just doesn't say that you can, therefore, no bueno. Like,
and the fact that there wasn't much pushback on regards to that. Honestly, everything was in 1420, but I feel like what Gail kind of said a little bit with edibles and the back and forth is kind of what we'll go through. I'm gonna just jump over Tara Bradner's thing, because she says more in House Bill 1420, and David Owens talked in that, and I think that was a warm up to what he ended up saying, and it was a really rocky start. Like,
we're going through that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's a really rocky start.
Because you have my interest peaked on that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done that, but he also does know the people there, so, like, it was probably not as aggressive as it sounded. But it sounded very aggressive. Either way, that's just foreshadowing for you, just to keep you interested. So yeah, let's go to Gail's thing on this. And I think it's also really important that she did show up, that a nurse, like, that actually knows about medicine shows up to talk about the medicinal bills.
Mm-hmm. Especially since she's actively, like, it's active in her care.
Yeah, that too.
Or she's actively caring with it.
Right, yeah. So yeah, here's Gail.
Any further questions? If not, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, it jumped back
Any
again.
further testimony in favor? If not, thank you.
I probably need to do it from here. Okay. Time code am I looking for? 5213. Okay. There. Oh. Oh my gosh, this wash together thing was supposed to be so much better, but it really isn't. Why? Why is this not a thing?
Well, I can control it too, right?
Yeah, everybody should be able to.
So you said 3213?
It was 5213, but 5210 or whatever it gets you to. And it just sits there and loads, right?
One sec.
Oh, there we go.
An edible food product,
Okay,
and
where
what
we
we
at? That's
recommend is
53. Start at
probably close enough.
5202.
That's probably close enough. Yeah.
Okay.
an edible product, and that's the key here is food, because all cannabis is edible in some respects.
There's not wrong
As a
about
medical
that.
person, I want you to know that a dose for an edible food product, and what we recommend is starting, the mantra is start low, go slow. So a 2.5 milligram dose of cannabis is recommended, of THC is recommended. That can vary, and of course, one of the best.
To put this into perspective, with kratom, which is a natural opioid plant thing, they recommend, because it's not an actual supplement, again, this is just a theoretical thing that you have to do with this. They recommend to start at 2 grams. 2 grams will get you nowhere quite fast. 4 to 6 is what I'd usually tell people for a start, and then like there's a plateau there too. With kratom, for instance, like my plateau is 8, so I really don't. My tolerance doesn't go higher than 8 grams. So like I can stay at 8 for at least like a year before it moves up higher. But you also have to rotate strains and all that stuff, and it's a huge science thingy. But yeah, when they say they recommend 2.5 milligrams, I'm not sure what it is in edible, but it's probably smart to start low with edibles because it takes so long to kick in. Like if you eat a brownie, it's gonna take about an hour to an hour and a half to like start working. And I think a lot of people make that mistake of, oh, I got nowhere, and then they eat the other half and have a really fun time afterwards.
I have a question real
Yeah.
quick. I haven't seen any of this. I mean, aside from you and I talking a little bit earlier, I have not seen any of this. Are we going to talk about the fucking Cape Crusader back there?
What? Cape Crusader?
The
David Owens?
Cape
Or,
Crusader.
yeah, Dustin? Yes.
What the
He's
fuck
the
is
last
going
one.
on?
Just to show people what it is. Where did my Discord go? Damn it. Took a screenshot. This is what we all wish to look and act. This is how we wish that we could. It's a thing that happened.
You know, okay, since we're in this whole like super straight thing and like everybody's like, you know what, fuck you, normalize what I'm into too and whatever. I'm gonna normalize capes. Fuck y'all. I'm in. Let's do this.
I mean, okay, so apparently the story behind it is he came in with a flag. So he had a flagpole and this on the flag. Very proud of that flag. He came in and he wanted to walk around with a flag. But they wouldn't let him in. There we go. That's awesome.
I fucking love this woman. Oh my god.
Yeah, so he had it on a flagpole and they wouldn't let him in with the flagpole. So he put it on his back and tied it up and flew on in there.
Oh my.
and I can quote, I think, let's see, for the record, I did wash the only jacket I own, but I guess fire boots and a cape fits me better. Enough well-dressed professionals to testify they need to see activists as well. If I ever become an activist that wears a cape, I think I'm done.
Yeah, that's the point where you're starting to crack up right there.
I love the camera guy too. Like, you saw the minute that he walked up, you saw like this dude literally
Camera's up.
DSLR and multi-shot, just like literally shotgunning it. It's hilarious.
That's great, dude. Oh my god.
I was waiting for
And
the
I love how
pictures
that
too.
picture is of the dude taking a picture of him, as if that is not the most embarrassing shit ever.
Yeah, I like. It was funny because this guy was the one that took one of Dustin, and there's another guy that came in that took one of David Owens, who looks like an Amish person, who hasn't shaved in like 3 years.
Okay, hold on one sec. I gotta explain this. Homie walked in with a cape draped around his neck, or a fucking flag
like
draped
this.
around his neck, to make a statement to the Senate of our state. I'm laughing at it. I don't give a good damn. That's hilarious.
I do like this thing is kind of cool.
And
I'm
he's
not
like-
gonna lie.
He tied it around his neck, and then he flew on in.
He literally did. Like, it was literally like when he walks into frame and like flows in. Yeah. Oh
fuck.
boy.
Okay, we got to move on. But oh my god, I'll laugh as we go. I promise.
He's the last one in this video, but the next video is All right. We'll just jump through this one super quick, and then we'll go into House Bill 1420. Actually, why don't we just jump to House Bill 1420? Because there really wasn't much here. No offense.
Gail, I appreciate you, but we have the idea of what's going on.
Yeah. This was edibles. They basically talked about how there was 100 milligram capsules, or 10 milligram capsules. Sorry, you correct me on that. There's 10 milligram capsules. She talked about how the amount of capsules that you would get isn't enough for the month. The pricing is insane. Insanity is what I meant to say, but insane. And yeah, so there was that to that. But since you have the magical powers, 1 hour and 20. And yeah, so also another thing is, so there's going to be a hearing tomorrow. If you want to watch these hearings, side rant, the video streaming on this website is complete and utter trash. Please make it work better. Whoever is in charge of it, please.
Things about an edible product is the length of time it acts. It does.
Let's get back one sec.
So yeah, it's probably best because it timestamps it. It is great in the fact that it timestamps who talks, so you can jump around super quick. But yeah, if you're watching it live, it's not that great. But if you're watching it after the fact, so what I would do is I would just kind of wait for it to be over and then watch it, because then you can jump to what you actually want to listen to. And it also tells you, if they're for, neutral, or opposed. It's very helpful. It tells people, like, if you're just there for the positivity, you go to people who are for it. And then if you want the actual bullshit behind it, you usually should go for the neutral, because those are the people who are trying to be neutral but are almost never neutral. It's, yeah. All right, so Jason Doctor, by the way, always be plugging. Podcast did drop. It was last week. It was actually a really good one. He pretty much, it was really good episode. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of shocked on some of the things he said. He basically said, like, hey, this isn't as bad as a lot of people think. Like, he's he doesn't smoke, but he totally supports it in the fact that he kind of gets it, and that's kind of really helpful thing. And now I get what you're talking about. Yeah, there's the flag right there. And just to see, just want to, because we all kind of understand why this happened. Let me just Google House Bill 1420 and go to the news section. Now I have to do this way.
I think I'm gonna have to press play and then, like, if
Yeah.
it skips back, I have to play it and then change the time.
Go for it.
Let's take for a person to.
Then you would assume.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Okay. I gotta think that one through.
So
But you'll be
You said
those who
hour
might be
20.
observing some other people
Yeah,
come
hour
in
20.
because we have quite a few people out there. So just watch on your phone. That'll be fine. And short time, so it's okay.
Close enough. We're at 117.
So Jason Doctor introduces it. They basically do say that, like, we're not going to read this entire thing out loud right now, but he kind of does explain pretty much what he said in the interview as well. His stance.
You cannot lean against the wall. You have to be in another room. You cannot lean against the wall. The chairs are spaced in order to provide proper
I
spacing.
didn't watch this part.
You can watch on your phone and through the door, and we're asking people to move out so others can move in and give everybody a chance. Carol, you're gonna have to, at some point, trade out here also, so.
They had a lot.
They come in and out.
Today, so it was a pretty packed day.
So
They're not
so
spaced
that
6
the
feet
people who
apart.
are- Right, we really need to have that.
I also really love the fact that when they're talking, like when particles are leaving their mouth, they then put down the mask. I was like, okay, I get it, but like, come on.
It's just amazing how out of touch. And I'm not trying to be like ageist or anything like that, but especially in our state, I've noticed that a lot of the older crowd, it's like they're completely out of fucking touch with like the basic understanding of how
behind
this
it.
shit works, simply because everybody around them is saying it's fucking against your rights and blah blah blah. So it's like
Yeah.
it's bouncing around in their heads that it's some big conspiracy or something like that, and it's like, we just don't want your fucking spit in my, like, I don't want your spit in my mouth
Right.
when everybody's trying to keep from getting sick. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
They really they ran out of time on this, so they took a break and then they came back, and then the other half happened. But why is it quiet? Did they mute?
No, the volume. Oh, they may have, because I have my volume
No.
up.
Yeah, it's fine.
They must have went quiet.
We're getting there. We're about a minute away. Kip. The normal keyboard shortcuts don't work. Here, there.
And
Ah. No? Okay.
I have before you House Bill 1420. And this bill originated, I think it started like 9 pages and now it's up to 48 pages, I believe. And so the Attorney General's office will be coming up and give the technical. I basically just wanted to introduce the bill and give you the reason why I introduced this bill. Like I've mentioned, I've said several times, I've never smoked marijuana. I don't believe in marijuana. But I also believe that I'd rather have us have good legislation than to put it in the Constitution. I believe it's our job of our lawmakers to have good policy, even if you don't agree with what the topic that the bill has in it. We have to make good policy. That's our job as lawmakers. And So that's why I introduced it. I want to be proactive. A lot of times we're reactive in government, and I want to do something proactive. Do I know marijuana? Yeah, it's like alcohol. We have issues. We have issues with alcohol. We have issues with all types of drugs. So why wouldn't we so that's why I put a bill in. Why wouldn't we put a bill in to try to have the regulations that makes it as safe and as restrictive as possible, but still allowing it? Because if we don't do it now, it's going to come through initiated measure. And so those are the reasons. And the example that I gave, like I gave on the House floor, I was debating to put this bill in, and at Christmas time, I had my sister and brother-in-law, my parents who are both 80, and I had my children. And we asked every generation. At the end, I asked my parents, who I respect. My dad said, it's coming, so you should do something. So when my dad told me that, I thought.
It's also really interesting how somebody can be against their entire lives, and then they get older, and they realize how helpful it could be for them, and then all of a sudden they're cool with it. Like, straight up, I know a lot of people who are like that. This guy ain't one of them, but like, yeah. It's interesting.
Thought, I'll put this bill in, I don't know, to let you know how I don't know anything about marijuana, when they said it was clever that I put 1420, that the 420, I had no idea what they were talking about.
I bet several people bring that up.
Yes, so, with that, and I'll just like to say all the people that voted for the House, I would say the vast, vast majority voted for the bill for the same reason why I presented the bill, is so we're not having the Constitution. Not that they agree or like marijuana, they know it's coming. And Madam Chair and members that have been here for a long time, we have seen things that we could have legislated and we didn't, and it ended up going on the ballot, and then we got something that we didn't want to have in the Constitution, then we had to deal with it.
No, I just want to interject there. I actually really agree with this. And like, even after being on the other side of it, trying to do this through initiative measure, I think it is the wiser route to have the people who do this for a living and understand how law works within our state doing something. I don't like that he's into it to make it as restrictive as possible. But again, that also sounds like something I wouldn't like heavily quote him on, but he did say it. So I don't really agree with that, but it's like these are lawmakers, and these are the people that are going to be able to word it and establish it in the most responsible and ethical way.
And also have, like, I mean, they might not have, like, industry connections, but they have connections within legislature to make deals to pass it so it actually stands, it actually has feet, and also to, like, have other people's inputs where, I mean, I'm not sure how legalized NDs was, but like ND freedoms is basically a list of demands and a lawyer that wrote it, and there was input from like Gail and stuff like that, who has that, but other than that, there wasn't really input other than, I don't know, man, I want to smoke and I don't want to drive to a dispensary, so can I just grow it?
Well, in terms of connections as well, it's like it's not uncommon for some lawmakers to have other lawmaker friends in different states, and it's like these are people that are going to have the guidance of people who have already been through this or have experience with another state going through it, you know? So I guess now that like I've seen it from both sides, I would much rather have actual lawmakers making the law, even though we don't really agree with them or what they're about for the most part.
Yeah.
Even if you're anti-cannabis and you put forth a bill that says it is legal for you to possess, legal for you to consume, you can buy it in a place that has to have third-party testing. I mean, that's all good things for us. Whether you like these people or not, this is in our best interest as long as it moves forward. And you can
That's what I'm saying is
fuck with it later and make it better later, as long as you get people out of jail or keep people out of jail now.
Right. And those first two bills were for medical marijuana. Medical marijuana passed. They were like, yo, can we also get some edibles? Like, you got these capsules, but I can't have a brownie. WTF. And then another bill comes through, and it possibly passes, and there you go. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah, no,
while
exactly that. It's like you
while
get it
the
through the
way
door.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. And while the way that um, David Owens words the whole entire thing, the idea behind it, like the thought process, makes sense. But the way that he said it, and the specifics that he went into it with,
You got me excited to hear this now.
he talked about being like, yeah, if you guys don't pass this, we're gonna like legalize a pound, and you know, we're gonna like have like a garden, and like I'm like, it's not how that no.
It's like,
But-
don't track us back, man.
But the idea though is that, hey, like, if you guys don't jump on board, it is very obvious that there is citizen support here for this to happen. If there wasn't, then first of all, Measure 3 wouldn't have happened, because that needed signatures. North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act wouldn't have seen it fit to actually continue into that footstep. Legalize ND wouldn't have had the funding that they've received to actually passing this. There wouldn't be this much support if this was a lose. Like, there's no way in hell that this is like passing. Nobody would be spending time, money, effort, nothing on it. And
That's what it boils down to. Is if there was not a marginal, if there wasn't a chance of success, it wouldn't happen at all.
Right.
You
and
know?
that's what they're realizing, is there is that support that's gonna happen. It might not happen this round, it might happen next round, it might happen the round after that, but at what point do you just stick your head in the sand and just pretend like it's not happening, and then you deal with the repercussions then? Or do you just get ahead of it, understand that people are saying this or doing this from their perspective and their needs, essentially, for a lot of people, so that is the reason why.
And these are also the same people that, you know, the same thing happened with medical. And if it's legalization that comes next, it's going to be fucking shouting from the tops level. But these are the same people that most of them are the polar opposite of Doctor, where it's like he's saying, this is happening. It's more than likely going to happen sooner than later. Why not get ahead of it and do it right? All the other ones, you know, we're going to get around to say Measure 3, say that passed, okay?
Right.
How many of those people would be saying, well, yeah, we knew this was happening. Yeah, we had the opportunity to do something about it. Yeah, we had the opportunity to do it right for our state and tax it the way that we wanted to and blah, blah, blah. But we sat around and just talked shit while a citizen-led measure
Pretty much did
walked
our
its
job
way
for
through.
us. Yeah.
And now we're just going to complain about it because we didn't do it. Well, fucking do it. Do your job.
And then you also
Shout out
have
to Doctor for
consider,
doing your fucking job.
right. And then you also have to then like, there's going to be people who are against it, no matter which way you do it. There's going to be people who are either for it or against it, and those people are going to be voting for you. That's what happens. That's the topic. It's a matter of weighing. Are there more people who are against it or for it? And how many people do I have to talk down off a ledge, essentially, that didn't like what I did? And I think it's gotten to the point that there's more people for it than against it, and that's why this whole measure thing, that's why I was talking about before. It would be a lot easier to explain to 100 people why you wanted this, who are mad, than 1,000 people who wanted this and are mad that it died. And it's also really good. It's actually a really smart angle to go with, considering the fact we got last election 4001, this election 4004. Those two are for citizen-led initiatives, for constitutional-led or citizen-led constitutional amendments. Those are for those. That's what that's for. So obviously there is a reaction there, and that is a problem that they are trying to fix. And until then they can fix it, they gotta at least keep their head above water, and that's the whole thing. But yeah, let's good. All right.
With how it was presented, initiated measure. And so that's why I brought this bill forward, and I'll stand for any questions.
Just a comment, we were fortunate actually that the medical marijuana one was a statute so that we could do some things with it, because as an advocate was chewing me out in an elevator about how we were messing it up, I said, well, maybe if it was so perfect, you might have thought to eliminate the felony penalty for possession of marijuana in it. And then I left the elevator and let her think about it for a while. Because there was an oops
That's
there.
pretty badass.
And so you could buy
Yeah.
it and it could
Yeah,
be sold.
balls of steel.
But you couldn't possess it. That's a fairly big error.
Yes.
And nothing lasts forever, as you well know.
And then consider that being a ballot initiative. Like, if that type of a problem happens, that would be the exact example that anybody would ever need, or why ballot-led initiatives shouldn't have that. For instance, businesses will require registration on ND for Freedom. I don't think that was there last time. There's actually quite a lot of holes if you think about it, because it is so small because it's constitutional, and there's going to have to be laws that go and support it. But a lot of people, are you going to explain that to them every single time, or are you going to actually just have it in there and then it turns into like a 30-page thing? That's the conundrum there. That's the tie-off. But yeah, the fact that she brings up a really good point in such a way that it's like, hey, there was this issue and we're actually now fixing it. That type of a way of thinking is probably the best way. But I don't know why I just said a heart, but okay, I'll send a heart too.
Did I? Oh. Well, no, I was
And
I was
so,
gonna type
we
you a
know the
message.
reason people put it in the Constitution is so.
Okay.
And that fucking React thing, if you hover over it for a second, it'll stick up.
Right. Yeah. It's happened to me.
Good job, Microsoft.
The only program that has NDI support, though, the program for like 2002 is actually ready for productions, whereas Discord, on the other hand, is screen share.
So that mess it up again. But the thing is, nobody else can either without another vote of the people. And nothing is perfect. Even the work we're doing here today will not be perfect.
That is correct. And I just want to thank the Attorney General's office and the other groups, North Dakota, Greater North Dakota Chamber. They also added language to protect employers. We went through the whole gamut of people that would be affected. Some people still are going to be opposed to it, but at least it's in a form that is good legislation going forward. And I think.
So yeah, that's basically all he had to say about it. Because I'm trying to compress it. I think what I'm gonna do is, I work tomorrow, so I can't exactly like, I'm gonna stream at 8:30. Yeah, we'll go through like the major ones and this part 1. Well, actually, part 2 is important too. So we'll just go through the part 1 a lot faster. What I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm going to do. The whole thing is accessible on their website. Much as I hate their website, that is where I'm getting this from. So that's the first one.
Can you pull the in the description for the YouTube video?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting it into chat first so I can make sure that I have the copied links.
Okay.
And this is part 2. So what happened was it ran for 3 hours and 47 minutes, all 3 bills. And then there was a couple of people closing. And so they went to break. I think they also were on Senate floor during the whole thing. Or I don't know what it was. I forgot what it was. It was another thing they went to. So this was happening while the other thing was happening. Long story short, they did part 2. Part 2 is like an hour, the first hour of it. Actually, less. Yeah, it was the first hour. So it went from 208 to 309. But yeah, so their website after the fact is great. So this is what.
Oh
their
yeah, and it's all
website looks like.
timestamped for you and
Yeah.
tells you. Okay.
Exactly. So you can
Yeah,
click
that was
on
the-
who and what. But I do it with the YouTube way because like sometimes like they're like you'll get signed out. Like for half of the website you need to sign in, but you don't to have the direct link. It's a really weird system. Long story short, I just go through the YouTube one, but what I will do is I will combine the relevant parts, like put part 1 and part 2, splice them together, timestamp it, and then I will upload it, but it won't be on the channel. It will be unlinked, unlisted, so it'll be in the description. So if you're watching this in the future, go in the description if you just want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah. I noticed the time and Beth
Yeah,
was
and
asking me and I was
also,
just
so like C-SPAN, that's the reason why C-SPAN legally can do this, is they can literally stream a government hearing. So the state should also be the same thing. But if you're a copyright holder in regards to this and you actually have a legitimate claim, just send me an email. Don't strike me. Just send me an email. I'll take it down. It's not that big of a deal. I will literally, I'm saying this right now, I will take it down. So if you do actually strike, then I'm going to have to take it down, but I'm just going to be a dick about it and have fun with that. So just send me an email. It's in the description. You go to the About page, there's my email, and just send it to me and I'll take it down like in 2 minutes. So, yeah. But technically it's not copyright. So you shouldn't have a legitimate claim against me, but that's where we're going to go. So we're going to go with this back and forth thing that happened, because this is a really good thing. And then we'll go to Dustin, and then we'll go to David Owens, and we'll probably close it out from there. Because we've been going for an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah, and that was the thing was
I was expecting this to go at 1.5 speed. That was the idea.
Yeah. Well, does it not work on this?
When it did, it just hopped back and forth. What if you set yours to 1.5 speed and I set mine to 1.5 speed? Then it preloads it for both of us.
You know, that could very well be it. So I'm gonna do.
So I hit the gear.
Yep, I got it. 1.5.
Playback speed, and then 1.5. Yeah, there we go. If we're all on that, we should be all good, right? I don't know.
One would think, because it was probably like mine saying it's normal, yours is whatever. Okay, let's see what happens.
227. So we aren't really that far off. So this is with Charlene Rittenbach, who is Charlene Rittenbach is the forensic scientist for the North Dakota State Crime Lab. And the reason why I think it was really interesting was there was this back and forth. I'm trying to remember the specifics of it, but there was this like back and forth where we were talking about something. I forgot what it was specifically. I did this morning, and yeah.
Chair, Sarah,
Nope, it's jumping.
you know, give us what I feel is the goal. What I wanted to have this bill. The goal is to have this bill. The goal is to have tight restrictions, allow it, and head off a constitutional.
Normal speed.
Okay.
Putting in the Constitution.
Initiated measure, yeah.
Yes.
Any questions for Representative?
I wish it would
Madam
work
Chair,
with BLC.
Senator Larson, well, the first thing is I'm kind of a fuddy-dud to my children.
Figured out.
And so they were actually very surprised, but they understand. I don't believe my kids
it's
use it. I don't know. I don't follow them every day, but they understand, and my kids.
Or against this bill. To be succinct, read the topic sentences of your testimony.
So she basically went with like, hey, we're almost running out of time. So they basically like said, hurry it up. Oh, by the way, let me just mention the fact that there's like 15 or 16 people who are opposed. So it turned into, we're going to switch every other one. We're going to do opposed, neutral, opposed, for it, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. Jason Doctor introed it. The AG, just, they were talking about the specifics, so there's no really opposed or anything. Charlene Rittenbach, oppose. Tom Tracy, this is in order, by the way. Tom Tracy, oppose. Mr. Citron, oppose. Got a weird one. Bill Gokul, oppose. Carol to Eagle, oppose. Chad Kaiser, Stuntsman Sheriff, oppose. Daniel Presky, NDSU, oppose. Just oppose, 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 oppose. And then like the last two are like neutral. For it. And then I wrote one, neutrally opposing. Which is weird. Because that's exactly what he said. Okay. And then Jonah Lanto was in there. Who I gotta say, when I was in ND Freedom, I got into some shit with him. Because, and it was for a legitimate reason, but apparently what I said was way too offensive for his tastes and feelings. But I think he was the one that said the circle jerk. Wasn't he the one that I said the circle jerk with?
I think so, yeah.
And you got like all mad and said I was unprofessional. Bro, I am a guy with OBS, okay? I'm not professional by any means whatsoever, okay? I know how to use Premiere. I know how to use OBS, After Effects. I'm great at that. Production, I'm great at. I don't know. I don't have a radio station. Chill out. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, he actually had some really good points. He did oppose it, but he didn't like he opposed it with what it stood at. He talked about the home grow and all that stuff, and that's the reason why. He only opposes it up to the point that if it had home grow, he would approve it. So that was kind of his view, I believe. And so, if I'm remembering correctly, at least, but good points is all I gotta say. Even though you might like hate me or something from like a year and a half ago. If you still hate me from a year and a half ago, I'm sorry, but you really shouldn't, because this was a year and a half ago. Calm down.
Grow up.
I literally just said something about it being a circle jerk. That's all, because that's what it was, and that's literally, you produced an hour-long advertisement for a good cause. That's what happened. Anyway. 227.34.
Testimony, and but I think it would be important for us to do that. So is there somebody in the room who would like to testify in opposition?
So this is when she said that it will go every other. Okay, guys? Oppose.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be brief. I have a hard time with that, but I'll try.
It's not that it isn't important, it's just you're not the
I
only
know.
person.
I know.
And
what
some
you're
of it
saying.
we've heard before, but you can restate it, that's okay.
All right. First of all,
Okay. Let me just, before we get into this, I believe this is the guy. Slippery slope fallacy. All right. Let me just read what the slippery slope fallacy is. This logical fallacy occurs when someone argues without providing adequate evidence that a certain action or proposition will lead to an undesirable outcome via a series of events. Okay, just keep that in mind. All right.
well, I'd like to present my constituents that I represent. These are my 4 grandkids. And
Sir, can
I
you
am
give us your name
We
for
need
the
to have
record?
you identify yourself for the record,
Well, I was
please.
getting to that. My name is Tom Tracy. I live in Jamestown, North Dakota. I'm a former superintendent, public school superintendent for 27 years. We just heard rather lengthy testimony. I think close to 50 pages of how this particular bill would change things. All right. I think we could all agree there's going to be an increase in time, effort, energy for not only human services, the medical profession, but especially law enforcement, if this bill does go through. I do not question the motivation of the people that wanted to put this bill into place. But when I did testify before the House committee, I asked this question, and I have to ask it again. What is to keep the opposition, in other words, the people that want pretty much full-blown marijuana laws in North Dakota, based on the initiated measures that have been presented in the past, okay? What is to keep them from launching an initiated measure that would cover the following: increase
I'm
in
going to step away
potency,
for a minute.
increase.
All right.
There's nothing that would stop that. So the next law try to be of
There we go.
how this particular bill would change things. All right. I think we could all agree there's going to be an increase in time, effort, energy for not only human services, the medical profession, but especially law enforcement, if this bill does go through. I do not question the motivation of the people that wanted to put this bill into place. But when I did testify before the House committee, I asked this question, and I have to ask it again. What is to keep the opposition, so to speak, in other words, the people that want pretty much full-blown marijuana laws in North Dakota, based on the initiated measures?
There are full-blown marijuana laws in North Dakota. They're just not pro-cannabis. They're opposed cannabis and medical.
Done it in the past, okay? What is to keep them from launching an initiated measure that would cover the following: increase in potency, increase in the amount, increase in availability, lower the age limit, changes in the agent cards, to change where, when you can consume, where you can smoke, lower or eliminate penalties or restrictions or authorizations, and change the reporting. Why couldn't all of that be an initiated measure that would be more favorable to the people that want pretty much a full-blown marijuana law, excuse me, similar to what's in California, Colorado, and other states? It seems to me that there's nothing that would stop that.
Yeah, that is what that is the problem that these legislators feel like they're facing. What is to stop from a legislator making seatbelts illegal or seatbelt violations illegal? Nothing, because it actually attempted to be happened. What is to stop people, legislatures, from making a bill that makes it so that even if a constitutional amendment passes through voters, it has to go back to Senate and House? Nothing, because it attempted to be happened. What is to stop people from making changes in the future to any law whatsoever by citizen-led initiative, by legislature? What is to stop anybody from doing that? What is to stop me from drinking a Mountain Dew at 10 o'clock at night? Nothing, other than the repercussions of whatever I'm trying to do. So yeah, a group can be like, and this is the idea, and this is what they're trying to attempt to get ahead of, is by passing this so that it doesn't have to be through a citizen-led initiative that might not be as smoothed out as it was before. So that is what stops people, and that is called a slippery slope fallacy, because there's absolutely no points, proof, or subject matter that you're really talking about other than the topical points for the measure. So, or bill. So, yeah. It was an interesting one, but they do have a back and forth where they kind of talk about it as well, and kind of like try to explain the reason. The fact that there is multiple people in that room that are under the same mindset and thought, and that the story that came out, it really does tell me that there's a very good possibility of this happening. July 2nd is going to be quite a ways away, or July 1st, sorry, 2022 is quite a ways away. But good news, it's a step forward, and that's what matters. This is a step forward.
Question could be, is this really a deterrent to stop or get a foothold on legalizing marijuana? And I'd say it's not.
I would say it is, because here's the biggest problem that I think that a lot of people aren't realizing. If you were to poll every single person in a specific group, be like, what do you want out of this group? What do you want? What is your main priority here? You're going to realize that most people are just going to say legalize. Especially when you put into perspective, I mean, you can make it lopsided, but you put into perspective that there can always be changes forward, and it's very, very difficult to go backwards. So if you pass this, there's going to be a very major, a very big portion that would just want legalizing. They're there for the home grow. They understand the reasoning for the home grow, and they would still support, but they won't see it as, such a major concern, and probably wouldn't put half as much money, time, and effort into it. So what a lot of people seem to not be understanding, and what some of the people who, like Jason Doctor, for instance, I mean, yeah, okay, you're probably not going to, solve it overnight, but you're going to notice that a lot of people are going to be like, well, we have it legalized. Yes, there are some problems here, so why don't we, change them? And the best route for this change, because you're not going to be like, hey, I want citizen-led initiative to raise the limit, and that's the only thing I want to do. You're not going to have too many people who care to do that. So unless you make it a big deal, but you're going to be fighting more of an uphill battle there. So what a lot of people don't seem to be realizing is, if this passes, first of all, apparently Dave Owen said today as well, that they're out, they're done. This passes, it's it. No more legalized ND-led initiative. I don't know what they're going to do with the name or whatever afterwards, but they're done. They're out. So that's a very decent sized amount of people. What's going to happen with North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act? There's going to be a lot less support for it. You're going to have to be explaining to people during signature gathering, I'm here to legalize marijuana, and they're going to be like, yeah, it's going to happen on January 2nd or July 2nd, 2022. It's already done. Don't worry about it. You're going to have a lot of people who are like, well, I live next to a dispensary. I know it's hard for people who don't live next to a dispensary to get cannabis, but I've spent X amount of dollars right now. I don't plan on spending double that amount anytime soon. They should probably group together and possibly work on their own version of the bill, but there's going to be a lot of people who jump out of that very fast, especially closer to deadlines. And so what we're going to see basically is the attitude towards people for it to slowly change towards working with legislatures. That's kind of what this is going to happen. This is going to go. You can always make an enemy out of anybody and be like, yeah, so-and-so, hate them, everything they say or do or talk about, fuck them. I'm going to I can always find an angle for anybody. I can always find an angle for anybody myself. So what's going to happen here is the support for a citizen-led initiative for cannabis is going to drop drastically. Probably won't go away. There's no way to make it go away. But it's just not going to happen. Hi. Where's your cape? What happened to your cape? You're on mute. What happened to your cape? And you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I put it on mute when I step away because
Yeah.
my kid is
Oh, yeah.
obnoxiously adorable but loud, and so is my wife, who's over here flinging a fucking let me see it.
It's a tennis
Let
ball.
them see this shit.
It's like a
no,
cat toy.
it's this shit. It's one of those stretchy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of
She's
cool,
over
though.
here bouncing it at me, and
They're
I'm like,
like
fucker.
stress balls, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actual stress balls is being a husband.
I didn't like that answer.
That's a good one. But yeah, so that's basically what he's talking about is, what's to stop anybody? Nothing's to stop anybody. When I was in, and I still am slightly considering it, but I'm not sure. Whatever. So with Kratom, there's a organization called I know what the name of the measure is. KCPA. What is the Kratom advocacy group again?
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
We did their commercials once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, American Kratom Association. How did I fucking forget that one? Yep, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We had that up this morning, or like right before we went live is when this kind of went up. 7:15. I have an email alert for the words cannabis, North Dakota. But yeah, he has a gut feeling. But GOP Senate GOP leader. Yeah, that's a pretty big pressure behind. But I think that's gonna happen. I don't doubt that it's not, to be honest. And all under the guise of like, hey, they're gonna get it through somehow. And yeah. So I can't wait. July 2nd, 2022, or maybe it would be July 1st, 2022 is when it would be legal, but I don't know about purchasing, probably the 2nd. Maybe they get it like on the day one, but yeah, it's probably gonna happen. But anything can happen. But I think the fact that I guess let's jump to the juicy part, and yeah, then I'll just upload the whole thing. That's yeah. 336.57. Our knight in shining armor, or no, our knight in shining cape. God. All right.
This is exciting.
There we go. All right.
There's absolutely no way you could prevent anybody from having another.
I believe they.
Third thing.
Again, the whole entire thing put together will be on the channel. Probably about, I don't know, it's probably going to take like 30 minutes to render, so I have both episodes. I just stick them together with some glue and duct tape.
I have more jobs in North Dakota.
Why does it keep doing this?
Any of my situation, because who's going to message to our, whether it's educating
you to amend.
All right.
That I
Interesting.
went there
Thank you.
often.
The one thing I did attach to my testimony, Chairman Lee and senators, is that Oregon recently passed, and it went into effect February of this year, the decriminalization of all drugs. Heroin, meth, cocaine, it doesn't matter. And so does this chip away? What protects us from that happening to our state? And that was...
Oh, apparently. Remember how I said I was going to Google that person?
Yeah.
See if they ended up on any newspapers. Oh my gosh, please stop, Bismarck Tribune. Apparently that's... Okay, do you remember, back in one of the hearings, this guy named David Owens called everybody, like, I forgot what the thing was, that it was like a waste of time and that everybody was just kind of being assholes. I forgot what it was. Long story short, he said some stupid shit, and apparently that was his way of getting media attention after, like, fighting with him back and forth for like 2 hours, or actually probably all day on Facebook. He kind of came out with saying, yeah, the reason why I acted like this was to get media attention. Apparently that's what this must have been, because that literally is the only thing that's good. This isn't gonna get you more signatures. This isn't gonna get you more support. If anything, it will probably make you lose support, because, like...
It's embarrassing. And it
Yeah.
just, like, it feels...
like,
gimmicky.
Immature.
Yeah, like...
And gimmicky as all fuck. Okay, so the story again was he came with a fucking flag. Why?
Yeah.
Why did you come here with a flag? Was probably what the security guard said. Alright. Is it the country of Cannabisistan? Like, what is it? Like, what? Okay, so, like, why? Because it's activism? No, it's, performatism, is what that is. You're making a performance. And it's not that you're making a performance for it. You are the performance. So maybe go to performance artist. Be a performance artist. Go for it. Seems to be working for you. But
It was
here's the
concerning
clip.
to me. It was shocking to me when I heard it.
We don't want to be Oregon.
No, we don't.
I'm
Once
fine
it
with
gets
that,
to
but I'm sorry. We have to end.
Yeah, by the way, so Oregon did legalize all drugs. I guess it's a very misunderstood idea. It's decriminalizing it in the sense of, like, getting people help rather than throwing them in jail, which would probably be a good idea. But it's very, very far away from being okay for people to actually be for that. So a lot of people are mostly afraid of A, being for it, or B, have been through it, so much so that they are okay with being public about that. But I don't think anybody will run outside and be like, legalize heroin. No one's going to do that right now. But they are trying to, and good luck to them on that. Yeah, we should probably have a better drug rehab system rather than throwing him into a prison cell, because guess what connections you get when you're in jail and in prison? More drug connections.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that works. So yeah, probably not the best idea to throw people into a social circle where drugs and breaking laws are pretty much the topic on hand, because they're pissed off that they got thrown into prison for whatever. They're pissed off. They're gonna just, like, retaliate. That's the whole legal system in a nutshell. Throwing an addict who is trying to actually not be an addict into a circle where they can find more connections, probably not the best route. So that's the idea behind it. So yeah, but that was just a side
If not,
thing.
thank you. And we appreciate your written testimony.
All right.
We just
there we
asked the
go.
gentleman in the hat, if you could come up, and I would really
I'll be
appreciate.
less than a minute, I promise.
Well, and I would appreciate it out of respect for the fact you're in the Capitol building, you might remove your cap.
Sure.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Okay. So my name is Dustin Pyre, and I'm a sponsor of the Freedom of Cannabis Act. And I'm asking you to amend.
I'm guessing the hat was weed hat of some sort.
Is that like a? Is that something dangling there?
Yeah, so he has like a wreath thing, like a weed leaf thing.
Right now, he's equaling the guy who ran for president with a fucking boot on his head.
He still runs. That's
Like,
oh.
this is the equivalent. In the eyes of the people at that desk right now, he looks like the guy with the fucking boot on his head. How embarrassing.
Vermin Supreme, that's what it was.
Yeah, Vermin
he still
Supreme.
Runs. He still
this
runs.
This is the Vermin Supreme of North Dakota right now. How fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Actually,
god.
Okay, I will say, the beard is very reminiscent of David Owens right now. This is like if both of them were merged together, this would be the ultimate cannabis activist. It was like everybody like making not brushing your teeth illegal or something like that. I forgot like the talking point, but yeah, he still does. He's a performance artist. Hey, might suit him.
Oh my god.
You know, whatever.
It's like I'm just sitting here, just like in disbelief. Like, you walked into a state capitol building looking like that.
Yeah. Just to speed it up, essentially what he said is his measure, or his what he thinks it should be changed to, which I can just read out. Oh, that's February 3rd. I'm like, what? No. Dustin Fire. March 3rd. My name is Dustin Fire. I live in whatever. Sponsor. Asking you to amend any one of these. Just pick one. Whatever. To include the right to grow for adult use. Create a free market balance and system for quality regulation created by the people themselves, not the government. 20 states were allowed and added home cultivation. He then lists all the states that have, which is probably helpful, but probably don't like say that out loud. Like, everybody can read. Added home cultivation. There's no reason why North Dakota cannot do the same. First of all, explain why, not just do it. Like, that's what the outcome was. I suppose I should just play it. Like, the entire tone and everything was like, just do it. Like, okay, who died and made you boss?
Mexico, Oklahoma, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, D.C. And that is the end of my testimony. I've submitted it on the site for you guys to read and read in an enclosed, locked facility.
Okay, here it is.
That I didn't notice anywhere else.
And use cannabis as they see fit. A free society is not hampered down by unnecessary regulation and government overreach. And how long do you think the 216,000 who voted for Measure 5 will continue to accept Prohibition Light and a legal state-run cartel?
You haven't given the definition of what Prohibition Light would be. You literally haven't explained why anybody would actually want to be going behind that or saying that they're for that.
This is like Trumpy level shit where it's like, what cartel? What?
Yeah,
the
that was another
cartel.
one.
Like, what do you
He
mean?
actually got called
What are you
out on
talking
it, too.
about?
Yeah, and he got called out on it too. Like, there's no, what are you talking about? Look, okay, here's, and I've said this I think at least 3 times. Have an angle, have a talking point. Here is one. North Dakota is such a state where everybody is kind of spread out. There are people who live in small towns, much like him, who is hours or maybe just under an hour by a major city. That does not mean that there's a dispensary in that major city or that it's very easy to get to, especially in the middle of a pandemic, in the winter, or just when you don't have time. So, home grow would be useful when you can't go to a dispensary to pay exorbitant prices for this medicine. There's your explanation. Now, do you need 12 plants, 6 of them which are adults? Probably not. Do you need 8 plants? You're probably still pushing it. But at least you gave an exact reasoning for why you should be for it. But, yeah. He is an activist. That's a good one. I like that one. It didn't click. He is an activist. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Nice little show of honesty there.
Right? Okay, like, yeah, it got him that headline.
Oh, Jesus.
I need to see what that one story was. David Owens.
Like, I know I'm just, like, it sounds like I'm just talking shit, but, like, this is literally... You started off with a great idea, okay? Medical wasn't enough. You guys are handling medical wrong. We need better. As a society, our state deserves better. Our people deserve better and more choice, more freedom. And now it's just turned into fucking dramatics and, dramatics, theatrics, immaturity. It's insane what this is boiled down to at its core. And it's it's a perfect example. You give enough time. You give enough time, and reality will rear its ugly head.
I'm trying to find the one story. Long story short is, I don't know specifically exactly what it was, but he basically said that this is a joke. And I think this was during the study, I believe. Where he's like, you guys aren't even taking anything that we say seriously, blah, blah, blah. And so that was the headline. I'm trying to find the story, but I can't. That was the headline. And so he posted that as if he was proud of that. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would you be proud of that? Like, that's a negative spin. Like, what's the connection here? And then, like, after 4 hours back and forth being like, okay, this reason is bullshit. Okay, this reason is bullshit. Okay, this is why this is... Okay, can you actually get to it? And he said, oh, the reason why was because it got us media attention. The only media attention this got you... So that was with David Owens, but the only media attention that this got you is that you're cosplaying and LARPing as an activist, and that this is your act. Your activist. I like it. I'm going with it. But yeah. So essentially, no story, no way of having anybody humanize the demands at this point. Probably the reason why is to say, I tried. And then later on be like, see guys, I tried. That's not going to work if this passes. It probably will pass. Because, yeah. Looks like there's support behind it. I'm hoping for probably some more standing point, or some more people for and against it. That's another thing that we're going to see, is we're going to see some against stories come out. And we'll definitely be on it. Can guarantee that. But yeah, we'll probably see some against. We'll probably see some for. And yeah, the vote will happen. I think it had Human Services today. There might be another thing signed up for it. Let me go to this first so I can see if there's anything updated. No, it doesn't show that it's updated anything. Yeah. So I just had that thing today. So shoot. Sorry. Just didn't want to show my email to everybody.
You're good.
But so yeah. The government is so sly. Well, okay. it's a love-hate relationship. It's like where, look, like I said, I will never ask. I hate asking for permission to put something into my body. I hate it. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's weird because it goes against a lot of people's core views and values of certain parties. But then they get put into that position where they do have to ask for permission, or to be able to make those decisions for who gets what permission. It's weird, but it's what it is. At least let's work with them. Let's be nice and see if we can get somewhere. And then from there, if there is a problem and there's proof of the problem, we can work with them again to change it. Or if it's such a major issue, then yeah, sure, let's go for the an initiated measure, but it's going to be a lot harder, like way more work. Because if you're allowed to possess an ounce and you can only buy 21 grams every 2 weeks, which, by the way, whoever the fuck thought of that, I think the first thing that should be fixed would probably be making that like an actual round ounce and not saying 21 grams is an ounce.
Yeah, where the fuck did that number even come from?
I think the idea
21 grams.
I think the idea is you can buy it twice a month. So chances are, because they think people don't smoke a lot, they will buy an ounce, or they'll buy, like, say if they allow them to buy an ounce, right? Yeah. And then they have like 4 or 5 grams left over, they technically shouldn't be able to go back and buy another ounce because that would put them over the ounce limit. So instead what they did was they put the ounce limit, but you can only purchase under an ounce, so when you have stuff left over, you're not over the ounce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a buffer room, but the buffer room is a quarter. Like, it's a quarter, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
7, 14,
7
yeah.
grams.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. It's on the table for discussion. That's a hell of a lot more than last year. Last year was we'll study it, which I did a video on before, but it told us absolutely much of nothing and had a lot of just what ifs, and we learned this but didn't really go that much further. Somebody told us this, but there was nothing much behind it. But yeah. So that guy came in, and now we'll go to part 2. Simply because, again, I'm not only shitting on this guy, I'm also shitting on the other guy. But okay, when I say shitting, I mean literally like as in a... I don't even know if I have to back it up. Shitting as in like criticism, not like fuck this guy. Pretty sure it's gonna be taken as fuck this guy, but like I don't really care. Where's the second link? Okay, I guess I'm using my trusty notepad. Video 2. 44 seconds. Here we go. Alright. Listen to this. Be very... just remember words that he says. Like, the major, like, powerful ones. Alright. Let's go.
We'll call the Senate Human Services Committee back.
Chairwoman Lee. So for the record, my name is Dave Owen, Chairman, Legalize ND. Take the mask off? Okay, sorry. Okay, is now good? Okay,
Very
for the
good.
record, my name is Dave Owen, Chairman of Legalize ND. And I'm coming before you to ask for a due pass on House Bill 1420. Now, as I like to say that this bill isn't really about whether or not legalization of marijuana is a good or bad idea. That to me is not what this bill is about today, and I think everyone here kind of understands that. What we're dealing with is kind of the 600-foot elephant in the room, and that is the ballot initiative process. Now, as I've said multiple times, ballot initiative is process of last resort. It's what the citizens do when they feel their legislature is no longer listening, and when they feel that they have to force the question to the people as opposed to relying on the legislature. And I'm hearing like a...
I'm pretty sure that is the point. Like, that is very true. It is a measure of last resort. But, like, we see the measure of last resort would be the best example, would be, like, recalls and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody in the history of North Dakota has ever recalled anybody. I don't know that for a fact, but it's a lot harder to do that. That's the reason why it's a lot harder to do that. But he goes crazy for a quarter of a second.
Go ringing. Are you hearing that? Okay. Never mind, then. I'm sorry.
No.
But ballot initiative policy is policy by last resort, and as a result, it leads to undesirable outcomes. You can say what you will about the medical marijuana bill, whether or not it was a good idea, notwithstanding. What ultimately ended up happening is we've had to spend 4 years so far in reforming that bill, and I don't think we're done. I think it's going to take another 2 sessions. And why is that? Because it was done at the ballot box as opposed to done through the legislature. What we have today is an opportunity to pass marijuana legalization through the legislature. And that means that you, as legislators, will have control over the policy. You'll be able to use your knowledge and implement it in a way that works and makes sense. On my end, that requires a commitment that we're not going to pursue a ballot initiative if you pass this policy. If you pass this, we're done. We'll give you the time and the tools you need to enact the policy, and we'll make sure that we act in good faith as you've acted in good faith to us.
Right.
But what happens if you don't pass this bill from a ballot initiative perspective?
Here we go. Here's where it goes all downhill fast. All right, let's go.
What happen is the grassroots organizers are going to have to meet, and we're going to have to negotiate amongst ourselves.
The grassroots organizers are going to have to meet like in a club, right? And they're all going to have like...
We're going to have
a round
biscuits
table.
and tea.
No. It'll be like the Vikings. They like go in, there's like everybody puts their sword into the middle.
As to what is the bill going to look like. And it's not going to look anything like the bill you have before you. There's going to be debates over home grow. There's going to be debates over allowing pounds, not ounces of possession. There's going to be debates over simple questions like smoking in public, unfortunately, is going to be a point of contention. So if you don't pass this, you're going to get something that, quite frankly, none of us want. I don't want certain things.
That was the most gangster shit I've ever heard about talking about legalization.
I mean, yeah. But at the same time, like...
He's not wrong.
No. But at the same time, like, at least don't give examples.
Yeah.
For
real,
table,
that looks like a fucking mob boss going on right now. Like, listen, we can either do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way.
I mean, that is pretty much what he's saying, but
yeah.
Worst possible scenario, it ends up in the Constitution, and then we can't fix it. Once it's in the Constitution, there's nothing anybody can do about it anymore. We can't legislate on it. We can't fix it. We can't reform it. So what I'm asking you today is to please do it within your power to say, I may not like marijuana, and I know many people in this committee are like, I don't like marijuana, Dave. It's okay. I understand. But if you really don't like marijuana, you're certainly not going to like what ends up happening at the ballot box. And that's going to be policy not written by North Dakotans. It's going to be policy written by donors out of D.C. And I can tell you, when we ran Measure 3, approximately half our money was North Dakota based.
I mean, okay, so then he goes into like how basically MPP and Normal and all of them kind of have a pretty major say in when they donate to groups of what they want their policy to look like, and how like that would probably be the leading cause of the reason why it would be so extravagant, pounds instead of ounces, blah blah blah. Yeah, so like the home grow thing, the fact that he said, like, you know, some of this I wouldn't want, blah, 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 it just, yeah, it was very intense. And, yeah.
Half our money was out of state. That came from MPP, that came from DPA, that came from normal. Just like the opposition's campaign. 80% of their funding was out of state. When you allow out-of-state actors in, you have to give them decision-making authority. So do we want to have a marijuana legalization bill that's passed with about 50% out-of-state interest and 50% North Dakotan interest? Or do we want the legislature to step forward and lead on this? And I really hope that you'll take this opportunity, because I don't want to have to do a ballot initiative. I don't want to have to go to policy of last resort. And like I said, if you pass this, we'll fight for you. We'll give you the tools you need to protect it and to implement it. That means we won't be doing a ballot initiative. And that means if push comes to shove and we have to delay and stop another ballot initiative, my organization's more than willing to do that. And
Gee,
remember,
I wonder
mine
who
is
he's talking about. But yeah, like, that's the thing. That is the one thing that would probably tip this over the edge. And it's shitty with the way that it's happening. Let me say this, like, 1000%, that huh? Did I spell North Dakota correctly? I thought I did. Oh. Yeah. There was one time where legalized, or no, it wasn't legalized ND. I thought it was ND Cannabis Caucus spelled it wrong. Either way, oh man, I just got off track. Okay, so the whole group, you know, and stopping it, it's really turning it into either you're for us or against us. So like that's kind of what it's turning into, where if ND Freedom of Cannabis Act said, hey, this is a start, we are for it, there wouldn't be a question of if it's going to pass. That's shitty. Don't get me wrong. But if you really care about it, if you really care about legalization, you got to let some things go and let some things go forward. And then you can go from there. But at least let something happen. Because you're going to get a hell of a lot more support if you're on the right side of history, on the positive side of history in this case. That they'll be like, these people actually care. Being against it, being negative, being like, fuck this, fuck that, going to be negative. And then if it fails, it's all on you. Mm-hmm. And that's a big hole to jump out of. So that's kind of what he's explaining. Why did it jump back again? Oh my god. Alright. We're almost at like 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife is going to murder me at this point.
Alright. I am just about to render this out. Give me a quarter of a second to make sure it doesn't go hardware. Render. Oh, apparently I have no choice in the matter. Okay. Well, that's cool. It'll take a quarter of a second, right? Big one, desktop. Okay, cool. Go for it. All right. It's gonna take 43 minutes. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just finish this up because there is a back and forth. We're gonna get to the back and forth part.
Your media and radio coverage on this issue. I don't know if you follow Fargo media because you're a senator from West Fargo, but when 1420 was being discussed in the House, we were on Jay Thomas, we were on Chris Berg, we were on Jack Sunday, we were on Joel Heitkamp. We were getting the media coverage, we were running the story. The other group was nowhere to be seen or heard. In fact, if you look at the other group, they ended up changing and taking down their website due to internal disagreements and ended up redirecting to our contact your legislator form. Happens, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. We will campaign as hard as we campaign for Measure 3 to give you the time and the tools you need.
Madam Chair.
Continue.
And see, like that's kind of where it should be. We've seen the way that it's been handled in the past with like bullshit drama. Bullshit drama doesn't really gain people's support. It loses people's support. And it's not like holding a gun to somebody's head to just say like, hey, look, this is something, we're for it. We'll work on this legislatively because you're already doing it for medicinal. You're already supporting it for medicinal to be done legislatively. You've accepted that loss. Become the group that works legislatively to fix problems, then shove shit down people's throats. So that's not gonna work. But yeah.
So, yeah. Obviously, we're running hard on time.
Yeah.
But I think we really need to discuss, because we tried last time, or one of the last times, and then we had audio cut out. But I think we really need to talk about these groups, what's going on between like the night and day of what's going on here in terms of behavior and what they're actually doing, you know?
So, okay. Legalize ND has basically said that, hey, if this passes, we're out. ND Freedom of Cannabis Act, it still believes that it has a chance and hope that if this passes, they still sit above water. My estimate is they probably will for a little bit, but they probably will kind of have to like really scale it back, because there's no money that you can get for help. It's who's going to donate to home grow other than people who either A, live in small towns, it's all farmers apparently, or essentially, out of state people that want to start dispensaries and or grow ops in North Dakota. You're going to have to say no to those because it's supposed to not take out of state money. So you're going to basically be choked off from support. Your only option in that case is to basically get ahead of this, kind of like how they are getting ahead. You have done a lot. Okay, North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act has done a lot. It's gotten to the point that they are literally saying, we don't want this in the Constitution, so we're going to do it our goddamn selves. You got a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Except that, god damn it. Other than have that happen to you and then just be like, well, fuck them anyway. So that's not how that's gonna go well.
Well, it's like with ND for Freedom, it's like they could get everything that they asked for aside from one thing, and it's going to be about how, you know, fuck the man, and they're just down, like trying to be down on us and whatever, and it's like, you're not going to win everything. You're not going to get everything you want. Like, there has to be some compromise here. Not, we didn't get our way, so fuck them and fuck anybody else who isn't with us. That's literally how they act.
Yeah, and that's essentially the thing, is it's going to be a set situation where even if you somehow, the way it's looking like, with how it stands, there's already enough support for this. We're hoping. There's no, like, 100% way of knowing. But with the way that it stands right now, there's hope for this after all. What is to stop somebody who's against it to support a home grow, specifically because they know it won't pass?
Yeah.
That's just a thing. So, like, if you end up getting somebody who's like, well, this thing is not going to pass anyway, so I might as well just get, this home grow thing written up, and then we can add this amendment to it, and they still have to go back to House anyway, and it probably wouldn't pass through a House like that, so it would probably stay the same. But that's adding some time. But that's the thing, is like, what they don't want is the citizen-led initiative to pass in such a way that it would possibly, South Dakota would probably be their best example of citizen-led initiative, ended up having issues with the single subject rule. I don't know what the outcome of the single subject rule was, but they are trying to actively block it. They are saying that we don't have enough resources right now to pass the actual framework that would need to be passed in order to even put this into effect. They're seeing that this initiative is essentially them saying, okay, now you deal with the rest of the problems. What they don't want is you deal with the rest of the problems. And that is one of the major talking points of why a constitutional amendment would be better than a statutory one. Or one of your main topics is, we have the idea, we know what everybody wants, and they will figure out the framework. And then on the other hand, you're then also saying, well, they don't know what they're talking about because they're trying to get 1420 through, and they're setting up a legal framework for me, but they don't know what they're doing. Like, I get the whole idea of being like, hey, look, I'm, not going down without a fight, and, fuck the man type of thing, and all of that stuff. But if you're stopping in the way of progress, you're not going to be in a good position.
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere.
And, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. So in 41 minutes, the whole entire thing is going to be rendered out, and it'll be uploaded, and I will clip it. The only thing I have to do is put these together. Oh, you can't see that. But I just have to put the positions in. But yeah, we'll upload the whole thing edited down so it's not like awkward. But we'll also probably do a couple more of the major ones this weekend, I think. Sunday.
Yeah.
Probably. And we'll have a lot more info Sunday. But I just wanted to jump through all of them. I know we didn't get as far. The idea was to go at 1.5 times speed, to cut the 3 hours into about an hour. And then, because there's like a couple of like just lulls. And yeah, so we'll have more of that. If you want, you can go on the links that I posted in chat. Again, that will take you directly to this video, with you having timestamps and everything like that. But I definitely understand people being on YouTube platform for it. And listen on Thursday for Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, 95.9 Radio Free Fargo. And if you aren't in Fargo or don't want to listen live or can't listen live, the podcast form of it comes up about an hour later, so 5:30-ish. It'll go up on podcasting platforms, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you want. We're even on a new platform called Herbal, which apparently is a platform now. I don't. They like emailed me and were like, "We like your 13 viewer podcast. We think you'd be great for Verbal." And then they're like, "We have a And then you can totally tell it was robotic too, because like there's a blank, and it was like 2 spaces, and then cannabis, and then 2 spaces podcast. So you can totally tell like they were taking the metadata from the RSS feed and just slapping it in there. So I'm like, oh my god, a cannabis podcasting platform, and then I like go on there and I'm like looking through of how to set up everything and branding and all that, and like one of the options is like, what are your interests? And the interest was like cannabis and then like everything else. I'm like, oh great, so you're not really that. Okay, got it. But we're on Verbal now. We're very proud of our Verbal platform integration. But no, we're on YouTube, Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, radio.io. If you go in the description down below of actually every single video, you can click on your podcasting platform of choice. Breaker, Radio Republic, Spotify, Apple Music, podcasts, whatever. Anchor FM is basically who we use, so whichever they go. And on YouTube. And yeah. Only a Sith thinks in absolutes. I mean, yeah. And yeah, and Maine. It's crazy that we have people out in Maine and everything like that. Let people know we're not only for North Dakota. Like, we don't really only talk about North Dakota, but if it is something in North Dakota happening when it's cannabis, we definitely talk about it. But we also, do national news as well. We're flexible like that, and we also will be getting a lot more interviews. I actually have 2 people I would like to get interview down for, but we had Jason Doctor, who is the 420 sponsor, or 1420 sponsor, and that was this latest episode, so definitely check it out. It'll be in an end card somewhere if you watch this video afterwards. But thank you guys very much. It was awesome seeing everybody, actually getting playbacks, so that's pretty fucking sweet. So pretty proud of that. And yeah, let me because I didn't get a copy strike before, I'd like to get one now. See you guys. We'll see you guys on Sunday. You guys have a what?
Fucking
Mars?
Perseverance, man. There's a
Is that a
panoramic
live
view.
stream? Oh.
No, it's a panoramic view that they took of the surface of Mars, and it's fucking crisp, man.
You know what's really weird is the cameras that they use in those are, you can actually buy the same type of a camera that they use in like space and shit.
Yeah,
They're reds.
you can download it, or you can click full screen on the picture and then pan around, and you're like, that's looking at the surface of Mars, and that blew my fucking mind. So I wanted to share it with people.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, good night.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. Greg will see you guys on Thursday. We will see you guys on Sunday. So you guys have a great rest of your night, and thank you for coming out. Peace.
Just me, finally free. The pool's dried up and I got no friends, so I throw down, hit the town. Find a dumb club that plays EDM. And small world's my cinnamon girl. She's handing out the best damn powder in the city. I took a hit, turn around, she said, baby, just come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Come back for more when you feel real pretty. Throwback, massive attack. My tongue's tied up while she's in my lap. And I dream, I wanna believe the bliss goes on, but a matter of fact. Well, I got low and I knew where to go. Hands in her pocket, I said, please don't pity. You don't have to ask, just take it down fast and come back for more.